Should you buy a Volkswagen Tiguan? I mean, it's the practical everyday car that offers a range of petrol and diesel engines without any hybrid systems, a rarity in today's electrified world. Well, if you are thinking about buying one, I'd urge caution. I'll explain why in this video, as well as show you all the common problems that we tend to see with these. Let's get into it. So before we get into some of the key issues here, let's have a bit of a recap on what's going on under the bonnet of a Tiguan, because there was quite a few different engine choices. I love bonnet struts, how slick was that? Now, one of the most common engines that you're going to find under this bonnet is the 1.5 TSI. This was the smallest petrol engine available, and it's actually an ATSI because it is tied up to a hybrid system. It's one of the engines that is tied to a hybrid system. There are others that aren't, that we'll come on to, but this one is. Now that 1.5, also known as the Evo 2 engine, it's been around in the Volkswagen family a little while now, and it is a good engine. It does tend to be fairly reliable. In fact, the biggest complaint that tends to come with this engine is the way in which the hybrid system has been built into it. So it's not a plug-in hybrid, it's a mild hybrid, which means it needs to recoup energy, it needs to charge the battery from regeneration. Now when that regeneration kicks in, a lot of customers complain that it's a bit like being in a car with a learner driver who's letting the clutch out a little bit too quickly. So you're going along 40-50 miles an hour, take your foot off that throttle and you can feel it start to come in. My best advice there is to make sure you drive one of these cars before you commit to it, and if it is really bad, speak to Volkswagen, because they are always issuing software updates to try and make these kind of things a bit smoother. So that engine was available in two different power outputs, either 128 or 148 brake horsepower. You could also get that little Evo 2 engine hooked up to a full-on hybrid system, so one of the ones that you need to plug into the wall, and on account of having a near 50 kilowatt hour battery and larger motors, it made either 200 or 260 brake horsepower. Again, two different versions were available. So we got mild hybrid, we've got full-on hybrid, but what if you want to avoid the electrification? Well, thankfully, this car had you covered as well. So you can get it as just a straight up diesel, which is what this car is. So it's a 2-litre TDI. Volkswagen have made a 2-litre TDI for, well, since time began, for as long as I can remember. The one thing to be mindful of if you're thinking about going for that car is just make sure you're doing the mileage to justify it. These cars need long motorway miles to complete regenerations. Again, it's down to the way that the government have implemented these really strict diesel emission criterias. It's hard for car manufacturers to meet them, so they start implementing aggressive emission control systems, and it uses AdBlue as well. In fact, this very car is complaining that it needs an AdBlue top up. So if you're going for the diesel, just make sure you're doing the motorway mileage to justify it and allow it to have a good clear out now and then. Now, if you want to opt for petrol power, but you don't want that 1.5 hybrid option, there was a 2-litre TSI engine available as well. Again, no hybrid system built into this. And these are good engines. Again, been around in the Volkswagen family for quite a long time. They've got the odd modern niggle to them, like they use a lot of plastic where you'd rather see metal components, and things like the cooling system, for example, things that are going to see a lot of heat cycles and cause plastic to go brittle and eventually break. You end up fixing a lot of this stuff when it gets to 10, 15 years old, but certainly for anything you're buying, it's not really going to be a problem at this stage if it's a car that's this new. The other problem that they tend to see, is just coming to mind now that I'm talking about that engine, is water pumps. Water pumps tend to get leaky on that 2-litre TSI engine as they start to age, but again, on anything this new, it's not really going to be a problem for a long time. Next, just as important as talking about the engines, let's talk about the gearboxes and what you're going to find in the Tiguan. So one big problem on older Volkswagen Group cars is anything with smaller than a 2-litre engine, well, they tended to be fitted with a set of dry dual clutches. Now these dry dual clutches, they could be problematic because they tended to have a much shorter lifespan than a wet clutch equipped gearbox. And whilst the larger engined Tiguans would be okay, it calls into question that 1.5, doesn't it? Does it have a dry clutch gearbox? Because it certainly would have had, say, 10 years ago. Well, thankfully, it doesn't. Volkswagen have started to fit these smaller engine cars with a different wet clutch equipped gearbox. They obviously noticed the error of their ways and have now corrected it. It's not quite the same robust one that we know from performance models, but it's certainly a big, reliable move in the right direction. Welcome back. Quick favour to ask of you before I get onto this next problem that you are going to want to hear about, by the way. If you are getting value from this video, please do hit that like button. And also, I create these buyer's guides for literally every type of car. So this channel, it might be a worthwhile subscribe for you as well. Okay, let's get on to this next issue. We cannot talk about the Tiguan without addressing some of the electrical gremlins that these cars seem to see. Whenever a new generation of a car comes out, like this being the third generation Tiguan, only out last year, you do get problems. Every manufacturer experiences this, but usually they're fairly mild and they're resolved quite quickly with a couple of software updates. These Tiguans, this third generation Tiguan, they seem to have a higher than normal amount of electrical problems. Now, one of which is quite worrying. It's wherein you get in the car, you hit the start button, the screens will power up, it looks like the car's about to start, but it just doesn't. It won't start. Now this affects specifically the 1.5 Tiguans. If you've experienced it on any other, please do drop a comment below, but so far it only seems to affect the 1.5s. Now some owners have reported having to wait up to an hour or beyond for the car to sort itself out before it will start. Now the big takeaway here is those early cars, the 2024 ones, they seem to be the worst for it. So if you are thinking about buying one of those, make sure you try starting that car multiple times. And if you do experience issues, get right onto Volkswagen and make sure it's got the latest software on it. Now another electronic glitch, this one almost feels like a bad joke to be honest with you. So it affects specifically the plug-in versions of the Tiguan. Now what happens is the owner plugs it in, goes away, maybe gone for a couple of days, comes back, can't get into the car. Car seems to be completely dead. Now what's happening there, and this is a known problem once again, is the 12-volt battery. The standard car battery that's under the bonnet is going dead whilst the car is charging that massive 50 kilowatt hour battery. I know, you couldn't write these things. Now again, this is a known issue, known by Volkswagen. They are working on a fix to stop this from happening, but again, just to make you aware of it. I think from here, let's get the car out on the road. I'll talk a bit about how it drives, as well as continue on with some of these electrical gremlins. Welcome to what is a somewhat chaotic start to this little review section that I'm doing here. A symphony of beeps because I'm reversing. The parking sensors are going off, but here's what's really getting me. You might also hear the fans, the blowers are on quite a bit, but it won't let me turn them down because I'm in reverse. The reverse camera has taken up the whole screen and it's not going to let me turn them down. That is ridiculous. Welcome to what is my first gripe with this car. We can't pick on Volkswagen too much. You'll have to excuse the blower. The reverse camera is still on the screen. There we go. Yeah, that is crazy. I'm not able to turn it down. As I say, we can't really pick on Volkswagen too much for that because, well, everyone's at it, aren't they? Everything is done through a screen and found within about 5 different sub-menus. What I would give to just have some twisty knobs and buttons here. Tell you what though, that diesel engine's fairly quiet. Felt quite pokey there as well. We'll get into that. Screens, it's as if everyone wanted them for a little while there and now no one wants them. Just give us some buttons and twisty knobs back, please. Look, the thing is, I'm talking a lot about the electrical problems that the Tiguan has, and again, you find this throughout the Volkswagen range. On the move here, one of the things that a lot of customers complain about is, well, it's popping up saying that you're going to have an accident, you're going to crash imminently, it's jamming the brakes on. A lot of customers talking about that kind of thing, and it seems to be a bit of a coincidence, don't you think, that Volkswagen, they've just invested over £5 billion with the American EV company Rivian, who apparently do very good software. And the whole idea behind it, not sure if the camera will pick this up, very cool old RX-7 there. Apparently, the idea behind that is Rivian software is going to be implemented into Volkswagen's cars. Now, given the amount of electrical problems that we seem to be seeing on these cars, I'm not surprised. And as I say, that seems a bit like coincidental timing. Volkswagen are releasing updates. They're trying to fix these issues as they come up, but they're fighting fire here, aren't they? So what's it like to drive then? Well, I tell you what, the standout feature is that diesel engine. It's really quite torquey. Nice to drive. Obviously no hybrid system here, so there's no torque infill. That's the engine doing all the work. But it feels better than I expected it to be honest. Other than that, I mean, the whole package is just kind of what you would expect. It's a quiet, safe, comfortable place to plonk your family, if not terribly engaging. But then in a car of this type, it's not really what we're after anyway, is it? I just hate that everything is through a screen, and it's distracting me from the rest of this experience, to be honest. I could be talking to you about how, you know, the driving position's actually quite nice, the seats are very comfortable, which they are, and a good size as well, actually. It's a safe, nice place for your family, as I say, but I'm being so distracted by these screens. It's just, I find it so convoluted, and you're probably going to call me and tell me I'm acting like an old man in the comments here, which maybe I am. But just trying to adjust the temperature, trying to adjust the air, trying to do anything on this screen, I just find it downright distracting. And the thing is, you're probably right. A lot of you tell me, well, when you get used to it, it's totally fine. And I'm sure it is, but oh God, it's just convoluted. Just give me some buttons and knobs. One thing that Volkswagen have to be commended on though, from my point of view, is they have once again fitted actual buttons onto the steering wheel. Previously it was those sort of haptic feedback touch nonsense buttons, which actually had to get replaced on a Golf that I had. The whole steering wheel had to get replaced because they decided they weren't working anymore. And we're joined by a new bong because I'm doing 26 miles per hour and a 30 mile per hour limit. And the car thinks it's a 20 mile per hour zone. I don't know why it thinks that, but it does. And now it's bonging at me. Frustrating. It's a shame, isn't it? Because the way that I feel here is, at its core, this wants to be a good car. It's just so bogged down with all this electronic nonsense going on, things bonging at me, speed limits, I'm gonna crash, can't adjust the temperature. You can probably see I'm sweating here, but I've just kind of given up with it. I'll adjust it when I stop. I don't want to be tapping buttons as I'm going along the road here. It's like it wants to be a good car. Fundamentally, it drives nicely. That engine's a peach. That's fantastic. You probably hear it make a bit of noise there because I've just booted it, but going along normally, it's quiet, it's very torquey, feels like a nice powerful engine. Okay, it's complaining about AdBlue, but which modern diesel isn't? It wants to be a good car. It just needs simplified. It needs simplifying. So there we have it, folks. Hopefully you've taken something away from this video. There's a million reviews out there, I'm sure, that will be much more skilled than me about telling you what it's like to put things in the boot or how many kids you can fit in the back. I try and give a good technical overview as well as point out the things that would grate on me day to day. So hopefully this has been useful. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please do hit that subscribe button if you do tend to buy cars. Well, who doesn't buy cars? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'll see you for the next one.